Let's start here. It's not offensive tackles, but it's a quarterback. Deshaun Watson. And the reports, we all know the legal situation. One thing that listeners and fans may not know is from a legal perspective, it does look like Deshaun Watson will be able to play this season from a legal perspective because that the case and everything, the courts won't really get involved until February. So after the season, so he can play through this season legally, but it's expected, although the league hasn't done anything to date, that at some point he'll be put on the commissioner's exempt list. They are doing their own investigation, and it is strange that they haven't said anything, haven't put him on the exempt list, that they haven't treated him like Trevor Bauer, the pitcher, has been treated with the Dodgers, where they've basically just moved him away from baseball right now. But at some point you think he's going to be on the list, but still, teams are willing to trade for him. And the talk is that the Dolphins and what other teams, Rob G? The Denver Broncos, the Carolina Panthers, and even the Philadelphia Eagles.
Basically all the teams without a quarterback.
Right. And those are the four being named. So let me start with you on this. What is it? The Dolphins are the team being talked about right now. That the Texans are asking for 3 first-round picks and 2 seconds at least. Looks like Tua Tagovailoa obviously would be involved in that trade. I got several questions for you, but let's start here. I feel like, because you're a guy that knows a lot about the Players Association, right? The way, because we've talked with you about that before. My thing is this. Now, Deshaun Watson showed up to camp, but doesn't want to play. We've talked to Sean Salisbury, who's down there in Houston. He has said that Watson doesn't want to play. We know he doesn't want to play for the Texans, but that he doesn't want to play at all this year until he's traded. And the Texans seem to be going along with that, and they're going to let him just basically be the 4th-string quarterback and not play. I'm saying this, Ephraim. If I'm the Texans, I'm trying to trot him out as my starting quarterback. I think they should have been treating him like the starting quarterback from day one of camp. And if he tells you, whether it's through his verbally or body language, I don't want to play for you, I'm not going to play, then I think you send him home. Well, look, you can't come here physically just so you don't get fined and you don't lose your money, but you really don't want to play. If we want you to start, then you have to be the starter. And I know they'd have a fight with the Players Association, but I think the Texans have mishandled it in that respect. Because to me, they should be putting Watson out there on the field as their starting quarterback, and they're not doing that. Talk to me first about that, because you may have a unique perspective. Is that just something there's no way they could get away with because of the Players Association, or what?
I'll say the biggest thing for a team dealing with this player in this type of situation is optics. What does it look like if we allow Deshaun Watson to come out and participate like business as usual? We all know, given the stories that broke this summer and this offseason, that there's some things that need to be addressed and cleaned up.
Right.
You don't want to seem like you're being insensitive to those things. These are very serious charges. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you mean to the legal stuff?
Yeah, to the legal stuff, right?
But why aren't the other teams concerned about that?
Well, because now it's a buyer's market. Prior to all of this coming out, it was a seller's market. That asking price that the Texans think they're going to still get, it's not going to happen, because there's the uncertainty that hangs above everything that's going on off the field for Deshaun, right? So now you don't want to be, given the NFL's history of mismanaging situations, you don't want to feed into that narrative, right? The NFL has done a lot of work to try to change the page or turn the page and let people know that they're taking these matters very serious. And it started with the Ray Rice situation, right? And
Right.
it's things are being levied and handed down, and they don't want to make any mistakes, right? They'd rather keep the clear optics opposed to trotting him out there and he's throwing passes in the preseason, he's at practice, he's doing all of that, and people are like, well, what about what's going on with the women in his case and all of that? Because there was a dead period where we didn't hear anything.
Right.
Like, we didn't hear anything. So we were like, when situations like that happen, normally something pops up and this was settled and that was settled and all of a sudden everything's right with the world. The Texans don't want to take that chance and have
They don't want to trot him out there with all of these cases.
No. You can't do that.
But why are the Dolphins and other teams willing to do that?
Because this is something that, like Houston, this situation is happening in Houston, in-house, right? So they know what's going on. Someone on the outside is like, we'll take the chance given what happens with, police and investigations in the league. We'll take the chance for the talent. Right? We'll take that chance, right? Because if the league comes out and says, okay, look, Deshaun, this, and this, you're suspended for 8 games. Any of those teams that you mentioned, Miami and any of those teams, would take Deshaun Watson at 25 years old and have him suspended for 8 games and have him for 4 years. In a heartbeat.
I feel you, but I'm like, why aren't the Texans willing to do that?
That's not going to work anymore. That bridge had been burned. Deshaun
so they're letting him, even though he's got 4 years left on, isn't it 4 years left on his deal, 156?
He's locked up.
They're going to let him just strong-arm him.
Well, they don't want the headache anymore. Prior to all of this coming out, they were very adamant about, look, we're not trading him. We're going to figure it. When this came out, they're like, well, hey, what y'all looking for? What, right?
So would you okay, so all right, this is interesting. I hear what you're saying. They basically given up. And Sean Salisbury has said the same thing down there in Houston. We're going to get into, Miami next. What does it say about Tua Tagovailoa that the Dolphins appear to be willing to trade, reportedly are willing to trade Tagovailoa and a couple more first-round picks, a couple second-round picks for a guy that not only could be suspended for half of this season, maybe 3/4 or all of this season, could be on the commissioner's exempt list, and a guy that, because of the legal issues, might not ever play for you. What does that say about Tua? I'm quickly, he's only played 9 games, 10 games. I say I'm not willing to write him off as a solid starter rather than a guy that could maybe be a star. I'm not ready to do that this quickly. But it seems like the Dolphins are. What does it say to you about Tua?
It says that them having an opportunity to get a top 5 quarterback in the NFL supersedes any loyalty they have to Tua. Right?
I get that. He's better than Tua. He's proven.
But I'll tell you this. This doesn't shock me or strike me as odd, because this is the same team last year that benched Tua for Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick, they won 3 games in a row. They put Tua in like, we're okay. We're going to go. Right, the whole team, nobody on the team knew that was happening or understood why that was happening. So Tua goes and he's doing his thing. And when it really came down to crunch time, what did Miami do? They pulled him for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And the reason is because, and when you do something like that as an organization, and it's a deeper conversation, but we can talk about several things. But when you do that, like, it's very difficult to go right from young quarterback to old quarterback. You can start with
Right.
the old guy and go
Agreed.
young and then take your lumps, and you got to ride that out. Once you make that choice to go from old to young, whatever comes with that, you got to ride it all the way out. When you stop that progress, it's letting everyone know exactly what you feel about your young quarterback, right? Because that was a learning year last year for Tua. Every rep mattered, every rep counted, and the fact that they were like, no, we're gonna go back to Ryan, right? Because we trust him. That lets you that was like a crystal ball moment into the future and what they felt about Tua.
All right. So then they're not sold on him, clearly.
Absolutely not. There were questions about if they were going to trade him and try to take another quarterback this draft. Like, that was out there.
From what you've seen, what do you think that's – I mean, obviously they've seen more of him than you, so – but what do you agree with that? He just doesn't have it? He's a solid player at best?
Number one, his injury history is something that you have to really look at, right? The NFL doesn't get easier, right? If you're getting hurt in college, it doesn't get easier in the NFL.
Well, they knew that when they drafted him.
Exactly. They reached. They understood they reached. They were like, okay, we like Tua, but he could be another in a long line of Alabama quarterbacks that just didn't quite pan out. This isn't anything new. It's very easy when you're throwing to receivers that are first-round draft picks against schools that don't have any first-round draft picks.
Right.
Right? It's very easy as a quarterback. Ask A.J. McCarron. Right? Ask the laundry list of these quarterbacks from my Alabama that we don't know where they are right now.
Right. Right.
Right? How easy it is to put up big numbers in a program where 70% of the team are professional athletes or will be soon.
So you would take this course of action if you were Miami.
If I were to get Deshaun, if I could get Deshaun Watson, absolutely. And
With
this is just based on on-field play.
No, but I get all that, and I'm with you. Like, in the summer before all of the legal issues came up for Deshaun Watson, I definitely doing that, because even if Tua becomes very good or maybe a star, I already know Deshaun Watson is a superstar. I already know he's one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the league. So I'm definitely doing that. But when you throw in everything else, we throw in the fact that he might never play for you, and you're still willing to do it?
That says a lot about what they think about Tua. It
Right.
really does.
There it is.